Warning, MF Uncensored contains adult language and discussion. Listener discretion is advised.
We're a couple of misfits. We're a couple of misfits. What's the matter with misfits? That's where we fit in. We're not Duffy and Dilly. Don't go around willy-nilly. Seems to us kind of silly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to MF Uncensored. If you guys are listening to us on the go, you can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and basically anywhere you get your podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Paul. I am just here to do the intro today, and really excited. Today we had a great interview with an entrepreneur, fitness expert, and just overall pretty cool guy named Justin Arnold. He wrote a book called Purpose Through Pain that he was very gracious enough to send to us a copy of, and it's been an awesome read. I'm enjoying it so far, and I really think you guys are going to enjoy the interview. Before we get started with just a couple of house cleaning things, first and foremost, this episode is brought to you by Neil Getzlow and his book, Unmasked, Conquering Sexual Sin and Walking in Victory. If you guys have been listening to us for any extended period of time, you know we're really big fans of Neil and his book. We've had him on the show. We actually just did an episode with him and his wife that's going to be airing in February, and his story is just so incredible, so inspirational. Producer Melanie and I got a chance to interview him, and just, man, we had chills the whole time when he talked about his addiction problems, both to pornography and to prostitution, getting blackmailed by a prostitute, dealing with his own issues, dealing with his marriage issues, and really him and his wife just embracing a better way for each other and just making their marriage work and making themselves better. And as a special thank you to all of our listeners, if you guys go to his website, Neil Getzlow, that's GETZLOW.com, you can get a copy of his book, Unmasked. And if you enter the code FREESHIP, not only will he be making a charity donation for every single book sold, but also you get free shipping. And that's a special thank you from us for supporting the show and for you guys supporting him. You can also go to our website, themisfitfaction.com. There you'll not only find a link to his website and to his book, but also a full review of his book written by yours truly in the Misfit Corner. So that's themisfitfaction.com or neilgetzlow.com. Also, some super exciting news. The Multiverse Fancast and MF Uncensored have both been picked for Podbean's affiliate program. Now, what does that mean? If you guys are looking to start your own podcast, maybe you've been inspired by listening to us, maybe it's something you've always wanted to do, you can actually use our affiliate code to get a free month of Podbean podcast subscription. If you go to podbean.com/misfitfaction, that's podbean.com/misfitfaction, you can get a free month of podcasting, and let us know. We are always looking for new shows to add to the network, so if you guys are interested in starting your own show, reach out to us or use our affiliate code to get a free month off. Now, if you're also looking to advertise your own product or service, maybe you have an online business, maybe you have a local business, you can also use our affiliate code for sponsorship. For the first 10 people that use it, you get 10% off, you get $100 of free advertising when you first sign up, and that's sponsorship.podbean.com/misfitfaction. One more time, that's sponsorship.podbean.com/misfitfaction, and that's for $100 off of free advertising. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll be right back with our interview with Justin Arnold. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to MF Uncensored. If you guys are listening to us on the go, you can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and basically anywhere you guys get podcasts. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Paul. With me in the studio today is Rob. Rob, how are you today?
I am doing very well, and it is a pleasure to be here, Paul. Thank you for having me today.
It's always a pleasure. It's never not a pleasure. Sometimes it's stressful, sometimes it's an undertaking, but it's always a pleasure.
Yes.
We are also super excited in the studio, or via Zoom, because that's how
our world works now.
That's how the world works nowadays. We have the author of Purpose Through Pain, Finding Limitless Potential in the Presence of Adversity, Mr. Justin Arnold. Justin, how are you today?
And I'm doing really, really good. Like I was saying before we got on here, I not just got back, but a few days ago, my wife and I took a movement retreat in Mexico, where the average temperature was like 80. We come back to Western New York here in Rochester. It's literally like 6 degrees right now and snowing. So all things considered, I'm feeling pretty good. I got my health and and I was just in sunshine for a week. So yeah, doing pretty good.
Oh,
Thanks
that's
for asking.
wonderful.
Immediately jealous, though.
I know, yeah.
Immediately jealous.
We were just commenting too with someone else about being upstate, because I described us as being in upstate New York, where we're an hour north of the city, but you truly are upstate New York.
Yeah, we're like, if you go just a few minutes, we're like I go to Lake Ontario every day if I want to. So like we're right on the lake. I mean, we're 45 minutes or give or take from Buffalo, Niagara Falls area. We average about 100 inches of snow around here. I don't know what you guys have, but that's like our average.
No,
so.
not even close.
No, not even close. We just get cold. We get the cold, and that's about it.
Now, as someone who grew up in Chicago, how does this weather translate for you?
Well, that's a great question. Yeah. So Chicago's much colder. So like we may not have gotten as much. We got snow, obviously, but like right today we're doing like 6 degrees, probably some kind of wind chill of something. But like that windy city stuff, that wind chill there, like. So this doesn't bother me like 6 degrees. So I'm like, man, when I was a kid, I was playing in snow, and I swear I was probably should have been like not been doing that with like no gloves and no hats, and like it was probably like I should have gotten frostbite. But the mind is a powerful thing. It was so much colder there. Like, and we would be standing at the bus stop. I think there was like, we're here. It's like there's a limit, but there I swear I was like, it has to be like, I don't know, like 30 below or 50 below wind chill before they would cancel school. So it's something stupid. And like, so yeah, there was much colder. I got to admit, there's parts of the Midwest. I have no plans on moving back, but I do miss it at times. And I'm one of those weird people that loves the variety of the seasons. I don't think I could live somewhere like where I was for a week. It's nice to vacation in those spots, but I love fall. I love spring. I love snow.
And I've looked. You've kind of been all over the map in terms of where you've lived. You grew up in Chicago. You went to school in Kentucky at
Murray State. Murray State University. They actually the area where that just got hit by that tornado. Actually, so I knew some fraternity brothers, and I have some friends that like got hammered by that tornado that went through Kentucky West. So yeah, that's like give people an idea that don't know Murray State. It is a D1. In basketball, so we do make it to the tournament every so often. We got some people in the NBA, so but we're a small Division I. Like I think when I was going there, I think full time was like 10 or 12,000. I think it's like 20,000 now, but like it's like it's like the corner pocket there. There's Paducah, Murray, and like so like we could hop and skip to Tennessee, Illinois, or Arkansas in like no time. So to give you an idea of where it was at. But yeah, I wanted to go to a small school, and my first major was actually music. I wanted to go to a small school with a good music program, and that I could walk everywhere. The Illinois schools I was checking out, like you would have to take a bus here and a thing there, and I'm like, screw all that. Like, I wanted something small, so that's why I went there.
I should point out to our listeners that as we're talking to them, there's a drum set in the background, so it is very clear that music is a part of your life.
that was my old set. It's now my son's. I do more here. Like I know you guys don't have visual. I do more like hand drumming now.
Oh wow!
Like yeah. So I got a djembe, which is like an African drum. I do this more for like, I guess, call it what you will, like therapy or meditation, but like one of these kinds of things.
Oh, wow.
So,
that's beautiful. I love that.
Really it's cool. I mean, I still play, but so.
I thought he was taking out like Captain America's shield for a second. I was like, oh my god, look at that thing.
It looks like it. It's a weapon. It's a weapon. Yeah.
But that's really cool.
So, and then after Kentucky, I know you spent time in Spokane, or at least working in Spokane. In Washington.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
I'm sorry. With KHQ.
Oh, that was Western Illinois. Yeah. KHQA.
Oh, Western Illinois. Okay, I'm sorry.
So I went from Chicago, Kentucky, then back to Illinois. So my parents live in Western Illinois, and I went back there for a couple different reasons. But I was kind of getting I was looking for a change. But my parents are both going through remission and cancer, and they could use some help. And I was the only one of my brothers. I'm the youngest of two. Only one of my brothers that really didn't have any ties anywhere. I was a single guy in my 20s and moved back there. But it's like when I started to realize things happen for a reason. It sounds so random because other than some college stints on TV, I got a job working at a TV station as a news producer. Then there was this major flood that happened in 2008 on the Mississippi. Started becoming a reporter. And then I just applied for the weekend weather anchor job and got that. But yeah, that's where I met my future wife. So that was around 2007 to give you a time frame. So.
Yes, if any of you want to check it out, there is a beautiful video of Justin proposing to his fiance, well, proposing to your girlfriend at the time. On air, much to her surprise, and you have to get a chance to see this. It's adorable. Sorry if I'm embarrassing you. It's totally adorable watching.
There's over
you.
1 million views.
Yeah.
Like more people have seen it than that know me. We even have people reach out, like are grateful we're still married, or wondering, or curious. They somehow stalk us on social media. But yeah, it was one of this thing. We met there, and I wanted to surprise her, and I proposed to her on air, and and then she totally thought it was a joke. She thought it was a joke, and she started laughing. She's like, "Is this for real?"
And then she had to go into a story immediately after the proposal.
I don't even remember. I feel like the story was probably not a laughable story, but maybe it was. I can't remember.
I think
it was too
like,
traumatic.
No, it wasn't. I think it was like a community event or something that was going on.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I really encourage you to watch it. So I'll take you through this, and this will sort of, I think, dictate the approach that we want to take. So now you describe yourself on your website as, and I'm listing your words, active father and husband, Jesus follower, best-selling author, movement and life optimization coach. Now I have to ask, is that in list of priorities?
Man, that's a great question. I wouldn't. Let me see. So we got father, we got husband. I mean, I would say if I have to put anything, I put my faith above everything. But like, because that's what guides me, and really, like, I try to teach my kids, whether they end up believing in whatever. It's just like you can't always count on people, and when people fail, like, you know, there's going to be times where you might feel alone, but there's always something higher you can turn to. And so for me, that's always given me comfort. Like when people let me down or people screw me over, I need answers or something, like, you know, I found it in that. It took a while because I grew up Catholic and I didn't believe. In fact, I would say I went through a series of like hating to not believing to almost being atheist. So yeah. And then, I'm super like just the life that I grew up on. Like my goal, if I ever became a father, like I was going to be this active father. I wasn't going to be this where I just clock in at a job, go to work, and occasionally hang out with them on vacation times, which I saw growing up, which I still see to a lot of these days. It's like, I'm like, what am I doing all this hard ass work for, if not for the people like them? And I think we as fathers need to play a bigger role than just collecting a paycheck. So I'm very active in their lives. So
that's fantastic. So tell me, I had a feeling you would probably put your faith at the highest. So tell us a little bit about how, you know, what led you to, and now I can only assume, since you're talking about, you were brought up Catholic and you kind of fell away from it, which I have to say I've seen, traditionally I've seen that happen a lot with like a very organized religion until something happens in your life that leads you to a point of where, I don't want to say necessarily a conversion, but sort of a moment of realization where you do kind of realize, I'm not doing this well on my own. I need something bigger than myself. And I'm guessing that's where faith played a role in your life. So if you could take us a little bit leading up to that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've always been a reader and reading books, looking for answers, growing in my, knowledge and wisdom. And like, I always had this, like, since for as long as I can remember, with all the pain that I was experiencing at a younger age, like I think it was like age 12 where I was like, man, all I want to do is like help people. And like, I don't know what that looks like, but I just started like going down this weird pathway of just like looking around for different things. And it kept being led to like, there had to be something bigger than myself, like higher power of sorts. Like I started, the more I learned about the human body, for example, like, I was just like, this just all can't just happen. And so I was exploring different religions. I looked into Buddhism. I looked into a lot of these different things. And then it took like literally like just deep meditation of like, I'm a guy that's like really like, my mind is very busy. I'm very ADD. But if you could just like find a time to like silence your mind, preferably in nature, in the woods, and just like not talk and just shut up, even like shut up your mind, not even say mantras or breathing techniques, just like sit. It's hard, especially in today's world. And I challenge people to do that. the times that I do that, I feel like I literally feel like somebody is sitting next to me. I know I'm not tripping on any kind of high whatever. I'm not tripping on anything, guys. Just so we're clear.
As some of our previous guests have been doing.
No psilocybin or MDMA here. This is just like natural Justin in the woods. You can get that. And I just felt something. And I was very resistant, and then I started looking at like, it wasn't that Christianity, Jesus,
Right.
These are bad things, or what people suck. It's not
Yeah.
that. Like when you look at the purest form, like I feel like if we really learn more about like Jesus himself, who wouldn't want to be that guy? Like this guy that in such a short span before social media was super famous. Not that we all want to be famous, but this guy was doing so much good that he pissed off like the people in the faith world. But he did it in such a humble way. He also knew like how to lead by following. Like he also knew when to take breaks. Like he would go talk to thousands of people, but then he would tell his followers, I'm going to climb this mountain. Literally, this guy would climb mountains in sandals. We're not talking like walk up a hill, climb like Adirondack style mountains to go be by himself. When you come down, whenever I feel like,
Right.
Like he knew the value of self-care. He knew how to take care of groups of people, individuals. He knew how to lead by following. He knew how to love. So to know that like the more you learn about these things, and there's so many things that we can't always answer, and we're always looking for like, it's easy to see something in front of us, like it's easy to believe that we put our faith in these things more than we put our faith in something, you know what I mean? Like people are willing to believe in a Santa Claus, but not to believe that something that we don't even understand, that's smarter, bigger, and more powerful than us might have created all this. I'm not saying I'm right and other people are wrong. I'm just saying think about it.
Yeah.
And for me, I know that the more I've followed and the more that I've read and dove into faith and growth, the better my life overall has gotten. It doesn't mean it's gotten easier,
Right.
but it makes the hard stuff easier to handle, if that makes sense, because of my faith.
You've mentioned a number of times, like coping mechanisms, whether it's writing, whether it's therapy, whether it's working out. What are some of your biggest ways that you cope with pain, with life, with sort of just the realization that people do suck and I just need to sort of figure that out?
Yeah, like we're all broken, we all fall short, and like we all go through life. Like people might look at me and just think like everything's great, everything's easy, because I've been told that. And it's not that it is. I'm just able to handle stressful situations, but it takes work. I have tools, I have advices. I'm very disciplined but free spirited too, meaning like I have a morning routine, I have a night routine, I do these things. I have standards in my life where, like, for example, at least 30 minutes a day I'm going to play with my kids outside. I'm going to spend time with my wife. I'm going to work out. I'm going to drink a gallon of water a day. Like all these things. I journal. I do a lot of writing, which led to my book, of course. And so I do these vices, and like I have breathing techniques. So like when I'm like stressed and like when I want to yell at my kids, I mean, we all get angry at times, we all get stressed. I'm human too. But something I try to do is like step away and breathe and think about it and maybe write or something. So like, for example, like I've had riffs with people and like I'll like type up a text and not send it. That in itself is therapeutic. So I think meditation can be a number of different things. I spend time in the kitchen cooking is therapeutic. I play my drums when I need those moments. I'll go walk in the woods by myself. I could list on and on and on and on. But I mentioned the free spirited. I would say definitely get things in your life so you can not necessarily be busy, but just have tools to fall back on when for lack of a better term, shit storms come your way, that you can handle those, but also be free spirited enough. I learned this it was a reminder, a reminder on my vacation with my wife that like, the first few days I started my morning routine, I realized, you know what? Why can't I just sleep in and cuddle with my wife? And I don't need to do it this week all the time. Well, so I can stay up later and we can go out and have some fun. And so I think there needs to be some balance there. And like balance is different for everybody, but I talk about balance per se in the 4 quadrants of, what I think is success in my book. And I think, if we're levied in too many areas, like, things can get out of whack in the other. Like,
it's like
for
having
example,
it's like having a car that where 4 tires, but only one of them has the right amount of air.
Yeah. And it's like if we're working too hard, but then our faith, our family, and our fitness are just lagging. Or if we're
Yes.
working out so much in the gym that we're maybe we're doing all right in work, but we're not really making any grounds, but we're neglecting our family because we're spending 2 hours in the gym, and then we're starting to build those relationships more than our wife or our kid. Like, so it's like always like, and we don't really know unless we're like regularly, daily self-analyzing. And I think some of the best ways to do that is sitting with yourself. And I would honestly say writing, because once we can just like detach it, get it on the paper, and then read it again in an honest and vulnerable way. And then if you have an accountability partner, my wife, and then I have a group of men I meet with, those are great accountability checks. Otherwise, we're just going to sit in this egotistical corner that we're doing awesome.
And having that balance is so key, because I know so often we can just swap like, one vice for another, and, suddenly we are, yes, we're not dealing with our vices, but now we're spending 6 hours at the gym, every day, and neglecting other areas of our life. So it is important to strike that balance. So that's amazing that you're able to find that balance too. And I would imagine that's a tough struggle, just in general.
Yeah, I like that you're actually using the word vices. I like it because I think we all want to feel good, right?
Yeah.
We all want to be happy. I think a lot of people go for firework vices, like drugs and alcohol or one night stands and things like that. And I'm not judging here. I'm just stating, because I live these versions. Hell, for those that are just listening to me, I did drugs, I did alcohol, I did one night stands. I almost committed suicide multiple times. So like, I get it. Like, I've been down this road. The point is, like, if we can find healthy vices to improve our life even just 1% better. So, and not overdoing it. I work with a lot of clients. I worked with one this morning who's a typical overtrainer because she's almost chasing pain to avoid the other pain from her past.
Yeah.
There's such a connection there. And I used to be that in my 20s. So I realized, like, I there needs to be that healthy balance towards it. And I think, again, it just comes back to like having that mind, that body connection, that's like just self-awareness. But we're always stimulated and we're always busy, then we don't really have that time. And that's probably one of the hardest things I had to overcome, being labeled ADHD, probably some past trauma that created the busy mind and things like that, to realize, like, man, there is super value in slowing down, calming the mind, and just being with yourself. As an entrepreneur, some people might find that's wasting time, but it's actually given me more time, and it's actually made me more productive because it gives my time to actually work things out a lot better. So.
About when did you start to recognize the ADHD? I mean, I should say, about when did you recognize that that's what it was?
I'm in one of these, like, no, I think I've always had this, like, maybe like stubborn when I was younger, and like this self, like I've never, like, okay, fine, you're telling me this, I'm gonna prove you I'm not, like self, like no limits, like, but well, so I had a no diss to my mom, but she was like a guidance counselor, like close to being a psychologist. So she was always like, I'll never forget, like, even when I was a bratty teenager, I remember yelling at my mom, be like, quit trying to diagnose me and just be my mother. Like, because she was like, I think as early as I can remember, she was labeling me and my older brother, not my middle brother, me and my older brother, like ADD, and trying to get us medicated. And I was against it. Like, I didn't even know why I was against it. It just felt weird to put pills in my body for what I felt was just who I am. And I just needed to figure out how to navigate this. Like, and now I realize that was actually pretty wise for a kid. But I think at the time I was just this little brat that, like, didn't listen to anybody because it didn't make sense in my mind. And so I refused to take medicine. She gave me it. I like Wellbutrin and some of the other stuff, but people know them. I just didn't take it. I would throw it in the garbage. Like, it just didn't feel right. And I think part of it, like, I remember my older brother was heavily medicated on it. I remember him saying once that it limited his artistic ability. Like, he's an incredible drawer and artist. And I remember saying that, and I was like, screw that. Right. I'll figure this out on my own. And it's taken a lot of time. I'm 41 next week. My birthday's next week.
Oh, happy birthday.
Hey, thanks, man.
Oh, yeah. Are you a fellow Capricorn?
Yes.
All right.
Last day. So I'm the last day at Capricorn. So some people may not consider me a Capricorn, but I am.
So, it's funny. So just so our listeners know, Justin and I connected on Facebook, and I was really drawn to a couple of things. First of all, he has a book, which he was very gracious to send us a copy of. I've been diving into it. I'm a very slow reader. I used to be very fast as a kid, but now, like, I've found taking my time is a lot better for me. But It's
Sure.
something you said really just made me laugh while we're sitting here. So my wife, producer Melanie, as she's affectionately known, beautiful, proud Black woman. She's also has training as a forensic interviewer. So
No way.
so I would find when we were talking, especially when she was really going through her training, I would sit there and I'd be like, "Are you interviewing me right now?" And she's like, "Tell me more about how you're feeling right now." So to hear your story about your mom really just it made me chuckle because like I said, I see a lot of similarities. Like I'm the same kind of person. I wake up at 4 o'clock every morning because I love to have my time at the gym and I work out and it's part of my routine. And I had to change my mindset about working because it used to be I worked out because I got positive attention from it, and then it turned into.
Yeah.
I work out because it's good for me. It's healthy for me. It's so I can be a better provider for my family and, do my job efficiently.
Yeah.
And it changed my entire life. Just doing the same thing with a different mindset is an incredible, a very powerful shift.
I like how you said it because that's essentially what I do with my clients because we're told to do this thing that a lot of people are resistant to, eating healthy and moving. So the biggest thing that I get my clients to do is just chase like a deep why. Like you just talked about your deep why. Like my deep why is just being active and mobile, being able to play with my kids, have energy, but you're not going to have energy if you're draining yourself in the gym. You might be strong and jacked and maybe be able to protect your family when you have energy. But like, if you don't have that balance from it, and then it's just like, what are you saying to your kids that like the gyms are more important? So it's about having all that, like, why are you training? So that's what I try to get to. That's what I had to sit down and write, like, why am I even doing all this? And then also that's what I get my clients, and I get them to do it about like, I just keep asking why until I get to the point where you can see emotion coming over their face. And it's not to get that emotion, but like, that's the attachment we're looking for, like, so that they're choosing healthier choices in their life and finding sustainability for the rest of their life. And I think that's what, if we could just all sit down, like, why do we wake up every morning?
Yeah.
Like the purpose, like, what's your purpose? Like my book, Purpose Through Pain, like, I have been able to find purpose because of the pain. And I think we just need to keep driving towards like a deeper purpose. And some people are like, well, I don't know what that is. Well, then spend time with yourself and like, what do you really like? What do you want to do? And just keep diving. And then like make everything that you do driving towards that. Like I can say that being healthier, more mobile, more energetic, and eating these foods and doing this movement can make me more present, more consciously aware, be with my kids, my wife, my clients, and you guys here on this podcast. So I'm not like at 1 o'clock, I want to take a nap. So yeah.
So having, heard, the way that you're dealing with things and the way you're coping with things, for our listeners, and you can, take us through whatever you want to. You have fought off a number of difficult events in your life, a number of tragic events, a lot of very, whether it was accidents or abuse or anything. And, you don't have to get into any detail that you're not comfortable with, but, whatever you want to share with us, what, led you to the point where you're like, I need to sort of choose a different direction here?
That's such a great question. Yeah, man. It's like, you don't know like about psychology and what things are doing to you. You just know these things are happening, right. And like when they're happening, like we all want to go the path of least resistance. We all want an easy life. We all want to feel great. I came to the realization, I'm not sure when, probably, I feel like that 12-year-old self is where I go back to, because it's like, that was a pivotal moment where we were like, things were like drastically changing. We were moving houses and changing things up. Anyways, between 12 or 14 or somewhere around there. And I just there has to be more to life. Like I was looking at my parents who were like, working like 6 jobs between the two of them. And we're talking like my parents were making good money. They were master's degree educators. My mom was working as like a I forgot her exact title, but basically like a senior guidance counselor. So she was like the head, making really good money. My dad was like working at a school and I think part-time at a local university teaching math and sciences. And but then they had other jobs like Joanne Fabrics. My mom was a firefighter, all these different things. And like, so I never really saw them. We didn't really take much vacations. Like we didn't have trips. Like there wasn't weekends hanging out with my parents. It was like, let's get to work. Where's your chores? It was constantly work. And I get it, the generation. So like, I'm sympathetic. I'm not like, what was me and like, whatever. And we all have different things that we've gone through. So I was like starting to look at life pessimistically, like, man, is this it? Like we go to school for like, a quarter of our life so we can work another half of our life so we can retire for this much. It's like, that sucks. Like I want to just enjoy it. I want to like find purpose in it. And like, I knew that all I want to do was help people. And like I knew I wanted to like build relationships, spend time with people, and just find a way to make money at that. So like yeah, a lot of things happened to me. Like so, those who've read my book know, but if you haven't read it, like to give you an idea, when I apparently it started as early as birth. Like I was supposed to have a twin, but like my twin died and I made it. Like why is that? Like,
Yeah, that's survivor guilt.
yeah. And then like around 5, 6, I started being abused by my babysitter. And like, I don't need to go in detail, but literally use your imagination.
Yeah.
Like use your imagination. And we're talking like it was an older sibling in my house too. And this older sibling, along with this babysitter, would take turns. Just like use your imagination. It was rough. Like, but I didn't know. Like, so like, and then so as I've gotten older, I started to realize like it took me a while to deal with this, but like all the people that are supposed to represent love and care in my house or in my life early on were doing the opposite. So I was ingrained, and as we know now, like before the age of 7, that stuff gets ingrained in your central nervous system. I was literally being taught at a very early age that like love is pain, pain is love,
and
stuff like that. I'm sure
issues and
yeah. So like, but I was like, I guess I was just always like a realist and an optimistic at the same time. Like, yeah, I went through my bouts where I thought I wanted to kill myself and I tried, but I was like, I said that was weak. Like I said it to myself, like, that's just weak. I feel selfish. And I started learning, like, I realized, well, I didn't think anybody cared. I realized it's a lot more people than it's going to hurt me. Like, it's like, I'm stronger than this. So like, this is the easy way out. And I know people are hurting. I know this is hard, and we all have our bouts with it, especially this past couple of years with everything going through. And, but this is just me again. I'm just telling my story. And this is what it took was just like little things, like knowing, like, so since I couldn't find it in my own house, I was trying to escape. So I did the music thing. I did the sports. I did soccer, and I would, finding little joy, like firework moments. Like I did theater. I would do dance. I did all these different things to stay active. And I found a lot of joy and happiness in this. And I saw it impacting people, like from the audience to like my bandmates next to me. But I was always still like very rebellious and resistant to like authority, obviously.
Well, I think because a lot of those things it's a high, which eventually goes away, and then you have to seek it again, by doing another show or getting in front of another audience and everything. And
so I played around with like obviously drugs and the funny thing is I never really drank alcohol until college. But yeah, I switched. I was like, I swear I'm not gonna do drugs. So then when I went to college, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do drugs, but I'm going to drink alcohol. I justified it. So like, that's not as bad. So I went through my stuff, but like, it was like, I think what hit was like, my senior year of high school was a very weird year. I was really close to my grandfather who died. I was really close to my great aunt who died. And then literally we were coming back from a band trip and like, I witnessed like one of my bandmates literally get hit by a truck. We had just won a competition, this big competition, and we're all accelerating. I think we were leaving like a McDonald's or something. We're crossing the street. We just got done eating, and a truck just comes flying through, doesn't even pay attention, and he ends up getting killed. And I found out later, like, so I used to yell to cadences. I used to play quints, the tom. For those who don't know what quints is, like the toms, the marching toms. You got your snare drum, bass drum, and like the guys with the multiple drums.
Oh yeah,
so that was what I was marching. Yeah, that's what I was marching with in high school. And I found out from his mother that he really loved the cadence we played called Saigon. And so the Dogwood Parade was coming up, and I ended up like I ended up yelling, "This one's for her son." Basically, I yelled out his name, and we knew what it was going to play, and we played in front of her, and I couldn't see her because I'm like marching.
Right.
But I found out later, like that meant a lot to her, and she got emotional, and just to know that like I can make an impact with something as small as that. And so that's just been kind of like, the lighting point. I was really pushing away from faith, but then when I realized the more I try to like be resistant of like energy, the universe, God, all that stuff, things got worse for me. But the more I gravitated to at least exploring and learning, the worse got easier to handle. I never want to tell anybody, like, you're never going to escape pain.
No.
You're never going to escape hardship. Like in challenges, what I can tell you is just like gym is such a great correlation for life. And that's why I love lifting weights and getting people to lift weights, because like it's never gets easier, because as you get better, like you want to continue to challenge, you want to go up 5 pounds, 10 pounds, but it's just like what we know is like the more that we can like do in the gym, the easier the stuff that we couldn't do gets. That's life too. Like the more we hit challenges in life, as much as we want to avoid them sometimes, like the better we can handle easier things. So like that's why, like, at this point, at like about to be 41, like, and I wouldn't know this unless people close to me pointed out, like, things that normally stress people out or get upset about, like I don't
Yeah.
like, I don't let, like, somebody cutting me off or somebody yelling at me. Like, I'm not saying I don't get angry occasionally,
Of
but like,
course.
it gets a lot easier the more you kind of, like, whether you've gone through stuff or the more you try not to avoid that stuff and just grow in those things.
Yeah.
So I
I
hope I kind of answered a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit where you're going. I know I went off on a
No,
tangent
no.
there, but yeah.
Yeah, I think too
So
often so many people think that, like, well, how can I make the demons go away?
Right.
Or how can I make the pain go away? And it's not about that. It's about keeping the demons at bay and managing the pain. So what are the ways that I can manage that pain? And, like you've been saying, it's lifting weights sometimes because it's something that's a constant, challenge to you, or it's the writing or it's, sometimes just escaping and being by yourself and just listening to what the universe is offering you and everything. So yeah,
yeah. And the other thing is, like you said, escaping. And I want to make clear, like, I see some people try to escape their life, and like I get it if your
Right.
life, but I think, like, try to build a life that you don't want to escape from. And I don't mean that like financially. I just mean that, like, in a lot of different ways. Like, I love my life because I'm very active. Like, people want to avoid their wife or kids, but one thing I've noticed, like, when there's one of those things, when there's a rift there, drive more towards that and figure out why.
Yes.
Because if you avoid it, guess what happens? Divorce,
Yep.
kids don't hate you. So one of the things, like, for example, like, this is something I've done. There was a little rift between my daughter and I. She's about to reach puberty, and we had this little rift. This was like a few months ago, and I don't even remember what it was, but I remember what I did. I was like, honey, we're gonna go for a walk. And I said, you don't have to talk to me. I don't have to talk to you. We're just going to walk in the woods, and we're going to walk next to each other. And she's like, okay. I was like, let's get in the truck. We got in the truck. We're walking in the woods. And to give you an idea, it was like rainy, and it was October, I think. It was cold. So, but my kids have been through so much, like, element wise, like in our hikes, like, we went through a rainstorm in the Adirondacks. Like, nothing phases them at this point.
That's awesome.
So we just started walking, and not 5 minutes in, she starts talking to me, and it's like nothing ever happened. And she opened up, and I got to hear what was really paining her. It wasn't me. It was nothing I did. It was something with her brother and sisters. And while that might seem minor to us, that's major. Whatever they're dealing with, it could be something stupid, like you took his toy or whatever, but that's major to the kid.
When
and
you're that age.
Yeah. And we just need to listen and be there. But like, if we're just saying, if we're negating their feelings, or like, oh, you shouldn't cry, you shouldn't do that, that's hurtful. Like, we're teaching a kid at a very young age that their feelings don't matter. And so they find relationships where their feelings don't, like a man or a woman that they know. And so, like, I want to be sympathetic. And I'm not saying I'm perfect every day, but these are these things. I remember on one of the breaks, another story where the woods is a very good healer. So I'll go back. I challenge people to try it and say it doesn't work. The three of my kids were like at each other. This was during summer. And I got them all in the vehicle. I was right after a client. I got them all in the vehicle. I just walked. We took them to the woods. They're like, "Where are we going?" I was like, "You'll see." They thought I was like driving off like a cliff or something. I don't know. They were like kind of freaked out. But we stopped in this place, and I was like, "Get out! You're gonna walk. Can't stay in this vehicle." And I locked the truck, and we walked. And literally, same idea. About like 3-4 minutes in, it's like nothing happened. They were playing with each other, laughing, they were loving each other, hugging each other, and it's just. Sometimes kids need fresh air. They need space. They need breathing too. And I'm not saying treat kids like adults, but treat them like humans.
How do you
treat
think
them like how you want to be treated?
How do you think your kids would describe you as dad?
Man, hopefully good. I don't know. I know that they missed me when I was in Mexico. I know that this was funny. They're like, they believed that I would be a multi-millionaire. And I'm like, I don't even care if I ever am. They believe like I'm some superhero, I think sometimes.
Yeah.
They're like, well, dad can do it. Or I don't know. They put you, like, we all put our parents sometimes. I don't know. Like, hopefully, I guess you should interview them. Hopefully good things. I mean, one thing I know that they do say pretty often to like their friends and other people, that dad always plays with us and spends time with us and goes outside with us, and like it's expected in a good way that we're gonna be doing something together. Like, for example, we were gone for a week, and I made a commitment that just to reconnect. It's been a busy week. We came back on a Monday, so it's just been hit the ground running. Right. So tonight we're gonna go to Dave and Buster's and just play video games with the family. Yeah. Just to reconnect, rekindle. Yeah. Like, because life happens so fast,
Mhm.
and so you gotta like. I tell people like we're all busy. I like to say productive, not busy. I think busy is a negative
Yeah, I
connotation.
agree with
but
you.
like you gotta schedule it. Like if like I don't know like how much money do you really make? Like can we like pause and like go play with your kids? Like because
Yeah.
like I've heard it too many times. I experienced that life where like time went by so fast and you didn't see the various stages of your kids or spend time with them, and all of a sudden you're wondering why they're not talking to you. Not that I talk to my parents by the way, but like this happens, and you don't have really a relationship, and that's what I'd say me and my parents relationship is more. It's cordial, it's more professional. Like it's not like really close like it is with like my kids. So I just think like cut the time, like carve out the time. Maybe you got a job where you travel a lot, but find 30 minutes somewhere throughout the week that you can just like sit and be with them and put everything away. So.
Yeah.
So I love your you clearly have a very hands-on approach to fathering, and you know you definitely have a very involved relationship with your wife, as you've mentioned. So you write about toxic masculinity.
Oh, you beat me to it.
Oh,
I was gonna start.
I'll let you take it then. Go ahead.
I had a whole segue in my
go
head.
ahead.
So
let's go.
what I was gonna say
Rewind.
was rewind. It's my show. I can do whatever I want. I just let Rob talk. No. So you mentioned the story with your daughter about how she explained to you a problem, which as adults we're like, oh, that's it. But in her world, it's the biggest, most important thing. And I find that I work in a field where it is a lot of suck it up, buttercup, and rub some dirt in it, and everybody's dealing with things. You're not special, but I think in the world nowadays there's a lot more understanding about, especially for men. And I know in your book you do go through it, and we talked a little bit before we went on air about men asking for help and kind of breaking that cycle of being the tough guy. And we've done a lot of interviews on this show, and we've done interviews. We did one last week with a podcast called the Surviving Abuse podcast. And literally we had a 20-minute discussion about how men especially are very quick to put up their walls and put up their tough guy facade and really just kind of be like, no, everything's fine. And then suddenly they get to a point where everything breaks. And
Oh yeah,
it's
funny you say that. Yeah, it's funny you say that because like I talk about that in my book pretty heavily. Like, be like don't like how do I say it? Basically, don't be okay with being just fine. We need to be better than just fine. I talk about that in my book, and yeah, as men, like again, this is my opinion, but I really believe like hiding behind our emotions and our feelings is insecurity, is weakness. Like being vulnerable, like if you come from a place of like trauma, pain, whatever, like a lot of people have like, and I talk about it in my book. Like I'm like we all got stories, we all got things, but like I've seen a couple different things happen when people go through some serious stuff, and it's like you try to like ignore it and hope time avoids it, don't bring it up, don't talk about it, just go away. The thing is, it never goes away, and it festers at you, and it'll continue to fester at you, and it'll come out in different ways later in life. Like you can't really fully connect with your wife because you never dealt with your stuff. You have issues with the people closest to you, or it's the other. You let it fester to the point that it becomes such a part of you that it is you, that you're like always looking, that you're really never growing, or you have a lot of self-hate or self-beliefs, or it really eats away at you. And so like back to the manhood stuff, it's like be okay with tears is another thing I talk about. Like crying is parasympathetic, man. Like crying is like getting a massage. Crying is like sitting in a hot tub. Like crying is like taking a nap. And like if I were to tell you, don't take a nap, don't get a massage, don't take a poo ever, don't take a shit, like hold that stuff in, literally, like you would call me crazy.
Yeah.
Then why are we acting like I've heard grown men tell their kids, stop crying, suck it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is damaging. And enough research is showing. And one of my friends, after he read my book, said he literally watched a thing on one of these, I don't watch TV, one of these TV things. It was like where they interview like a lot of people in prisons, and a lot of them like were told that they weren't like a lot of like serious, like mass murderer type people, like serious criminals, were basically like not allowed to cry, not allowed to show emotion, not allowed to play around and play fight, like not allowed to let it out. And if you bottle all that in, like you guys said, you're gonna burst.
Yeah.
And if you don't burst until you're adult, it comes in forms of violence, probably, or self-inflicted harm or something like that. So let it out, be okay with it. I think there's a time and a place and everything else. I think there's but I think we need to let our kids work through their emotions and learn and grow. And I think we can learn a lot from kids. Heck, even from like a sitting posture thing. I could go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, as like men, we need to deal with our stuff. It's not weakness. If something happened to you as a child, it's not your fault. And you're not weak for something that happened to you as a child. But dealing with it and using it to help other people and being open with it can be a superpower that you use and can be make you a better man and a better father. Showing my emotions to my kids allows them to open up more to me.
Yeah.
But if I teach them that emotions are bad or wrong or weak, well, then you teach your kids that. And then you're wondering why they're not telling you about their boyfriends or their girlfriends or their life or their school, because there's emotion attached to that, and emotions are bad. We need to be honest with ourselves as men. What are we really teaching our kids? What legacies are we leaving for them if we're not allowing them to address these things? And I think we need to also be honest, like we talked about this, the statistics for men being molested and raped at early ages of 1 in 6. But I think it's much, much higher because we just don't talk about it and the damage that's being done in society. And so it's one of these things, if more men knew that more men were going through with it, it'd be okay, I'll tell you this. When I wrote my book, it was not easy, obviously. The first time I read the first draft, I couldn't finish it.
Wow.
But I'll tell you that I was around chapter 3 or 4, wow, it broke down. But now I can read it multiple times. I can talk about it. And that's how I know, for me, this book was therapy itself. But when you can get to a point where that knows that you probably have worked through your stuff pretty well, that it's just a story in another chapter in your life. And you can, it's something that has happened. I'm not telling everybody to go write a book about all the crap that happened to you. I'm saying but even writing it down and just addressing it. I think for me, it started with that. It started with me just writing in Apple Notes, being the specifics that happened to me as a child. That wasn't easy. But when I did it, it's oh, yeah, fuck, that felt great.
Yeah, suddenly
it was better than any
you're sharing the burden.
Yeah. And if therapy works, I'll tell you this, I had a bad taste in my mouth for therapy. That was one of the traumatic things. I was told by a therapist, my first therapist. So give you guys a quick run of things. So I was molested, I was abused. My babysitter decided to burn the house down while I was inside it. This isn't a joke. This is facts. Anyways, fast forward, you can read the book. I don't want to start doing that on it. But I was told by my first therapist that I was fine. I was fine. So I've always thought that I was fine and okay. And I realized later on that there was still things that I had to work through, and how it was manifesting in relationships, me chasing pain in the gym and various other vices I was still running down, searching for fireworks or searching for value or searching to feel good or to fill the void that I might have had. And so going back to that faith, I realized faith was the only way that could fill that, and growing in that, because I realized faith was the opposite of fear. And then I started to realize a lot of our fears and worries are liars. I think it was Mark Twain, when he was 80 or something, most of the things that we worry about never really happened. And most things I worried about never really happened. Yeah. So
it's funny. It's funny you talk about therapy and how your first therapist says you were fine. I'm a very pro therapy kind of guy. I've been involved with therapy. My wife has a psychology degree, so sometimes it feels like I have a live-in therapist, which is good and bad. But one of the things I learned when I was going through therapy was don't give the answers that you want people to hear. And it took a lot, especially we talked about the toxic masculinity, I'm fine, I'm a big strong guy, breaking down that walls and really moving through it. And even when we talked before about, you tell your clients, find why you're doing this, and let that kind of guide you. I think it's important, and I think more men need to hear from all sorts of men that it's okay. I'm not flirting with you, Justin, but you're a good looking dude. You're in great shape. You're successful. You're.
See, that was toxic, man. You should be dude, you're a good looking dude, and not be all weird about it. Why can't we?
I have to tell my wife.
Why can't we tell another man I love him and give him a hug and not be all oh, that's gay?
Oh, no, it's not about being gay. It's just because I'm loyal to my wife. Don't get any ideas, Mister. No, I fully believe. Rob and I are very man, your hair looks great today.
Thank you.
Stuff like that is cool. But going back to what I was saying, you're in a lot of ways to the man's man, you're like checking off these boxes, but I think it's important that we need to reevaluate what a real man should be. Somebody that can break down and can tell how they're feeling, why they're feeling a certain way. I like what you said about, living to a point where, the things that I worried about, I don't have to worry about anymore, or like never really happened. I know you just quoted Mark Twain. So it really stuck with me on that one.
Yeah, and like I know I talked about like the crime, but like it means like a man should be present for his wife and be there and listen to her and like take care of her. Like a man should be there for his kids. A man can still eat red meat, hunt deer, lift heavy weights, and do man stuff and chop wood and whatever else. But like I think the emotional part is what we're missing out on in the connection. Like if we're so, I hear it constantly from my female clients, constantly like about their husband, because my place has become a place of therapy and venting. When you're in the gym throwing weights around, you want to look for some regression points and they find it there. But long story short, it's like I hear a lot about men who just, women are always wondering why their men are so emotionally detached and don't understand them or don't get them. And yeah, we may never ever get them, but we can come close if we have some more emotional attachment and understand, like if we sit there and listen, like if we are vulnerable and we admit to our mistakes. For example, like I've screwed up and I've gone to my wife and it's like, hey, I messed up. I wasn't understanding of your feelings or what your needs were in that moment. What can I do better next time? Yeah. And she'll tell me. And guess what? I'll do better next time. And then guess what? I avoid getting in that fight or whatever that was. Like this could make your life infinitely better if you go towards these things and just admit. But like we as men don't want to admit where we fall short or where we make mistakes or our wrongdoings. We want to, especially in those, I think that's what I see. Yeah. That's what I grew up around. And whether it's ego or insecurity, I think it takes a real man to do those things and be that person. And then we'll know that, we can listen to our wife, and then we'll know that, oh man, she really just needs a day of the spa. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to book a 3-hour appointment at my wife for the spa because she just needs that right now. Instead of, man, she's just being a bitch because she's,
she needs to get over it.
Because that's a common response.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to the guys that are listening to this who are just sort of at that first stage of like, I don't know what to do, but I know I need to do something, that are just stuck at like, I don't know how to express my feelings. I don't know how to reach out. What advice can you give them as some of those initial steps?
Well, some people could be like, this guy is weird. I'm like, why is he saying this? Like, but like if you're at least curious, I would just say like, man, that's a great question. What do you want to do first? I would start with, maybe if it's a very hard subject for you, I would like, honestly, like if you're a prayer, pray about it, but like find a room, grab a notebook, whatever, and start writing about things that upset you, piss you off, hurt you. Again, I'm no psychologist, but I hope this is good advice because this is what I would do. And like have some emotion around it. Like, I mean, raise your hand, guys. Like, if you haven't felt better after like a good cry, like I'm not gonna lie, like, it feels good because it should. It's like it's a tension releaser, and so if you need to seek therapy, that's cool too. I know that's hard for a lot of people. I look at a therapist. I think sometimes with men at least, like there's like, oh, that's stuff women do, that's stuff weak people do. But look at it as like a life coach. Like get a life coach or something. Like I am a life coach for that reason. Like like we all need coaches. Like you had coaches growing up in sports. We can't do life alone. Nobody can do life alone. Heck, you guys are doing a podcast together because the two of you make a better podcast than just one of you guys. And like you guys are a team, you have different offerings. We all need people in our life. Like we've gotten so far from like, you look at like indigenous people of this world, they have that tribal mentality. And like one of the things that they don't have is mental health issues. Everybody takes care of the babies. Everybody takes care of each other. Everybody looks out for each other. We just don't have that in this Western culture. It's like we're all competing against each other. But like we need to find people in our lives that like support us, cheer us on, love us, hug us, and not worried about like, oh, they're making more money than me, like the Kardashian crap. Like we should just be supportive of everybody succeeding and like being able to offer tips. That's why I meet with a group of men like me on Saturday mornings so we can help each other out and share our wins and our losses. We're cheering each other on, and we're also giving helpful advice for the stuff we screwed up on, whether it be in relationships or work. So I think if anything, if you can find a group, if you're not ready for that, find a therapist. If you're not ready for that, sit with your thoughts in a pad and a paper, man, and just write it down and just be okay. And then I would, if you still are struggling, buy my book. I give a lot of tips in there.
Oh,
Shameless
yeah.
plug.
Purpose
But,
Through
like,
Pain, Finding Limitless Potential in the Presence of Adversity. I know you can definitely find it on Amazon. Is that the best place to buy
That's
it?
the best. And if you don't know how to find it on Amazon, it's on my website, justinarnold.com with an EN. We're working on getting it in like stores like Barnes and Nobles. We're working on getting hardcover. We just made it possible to become international. So it's opened up the global world for publishers in other countries to publish it and translate it. So it's slowly growing. And yeah, and if you do, give me a 5-star review. No, but like it's we're getting great feedback, like even some surprising, like I've had unexpected people like telling me how it's changed their life already. We're talking like I've had like people that you would think like multimillionaires and billionaires that have contacted me that have like outside looking in, like in this world, oh, they got all their stuff. They got everything going for them. Their life is great. And their life is really good, but maybe they were like what we talked about earlier. There were some things out of whack. And I had one of these guys specifically reach out to me and somebody's like, man, you seem like you got like everything in balance. Like you've got it all worked out. And I told him, I don't know. We're all just living this life and doing the best job we can. But I'll tell you what, I know what's important to me, and I don't neglect on my morals or my standards or the things that really matter to me. And I'm disciplined on that thing. And at the end of the day, like my faith and my family, they matter more to me than anything else. So like, I'm not going to like lose track of that. And I'm going to dedicate time to those things because I know those are the things that make their lives better, make my life better. And then obviously can make other people's lives better, that domino effect.
I got to ask, because I've seen it flashed a few times, your tattoo. Well, you've got multiple tattoos, but
Wait, I'm not going to take my pants off, but hold on. I got shorts on. The reason why I'm doing this is I just got color on one yesterday on my leg. So I got
I got to say, Justin is a
guys.
canvas here.
That's awesome.
That's exactly the thing. Like I never thought I would get tattoos, and I always said they got to be away for the rest of my. And I always wanted them to tell a story.
Yeah,
I could see that. Yes, I see.
Like, too bad it's like a Zoom call. Maybe I should make like some kind of posting and explain them one day.
I see you've got Isaiah on your right arm. Is that
Isaiah 11:6? This is not my favorite verse, but one of my favorite. But if anything, it represents like the perfect world. And it just says, in that day, the wolf and the lamb will live together. The leopard will lie down with the baby goat. The calf and the yearling will be safe with the lion, and the little child will lead them all. One of my favorites, just because like, man, that's like if we could just all get along basically, but that flows into, that might be like the perfect world, into like my perfect life and the things that matter. So this is actually like taken from a picture from the Adirondack Mountains at one of the hikes we went on.
Oh, wow.
And then, there's a leopard here. And then this flows into, and it's like it's coming out of my skin. You can Google it, but like when you look up like representative meanings like of leopard and then wolf, I've got a wolf face right here on my pack, like embracing nature and the things that they represent basically like is why they're on there. And then, and then this one I got before this one. It's basically a dragon that comes over here.
This is on his left arm. He's going to take his shirt off. Of course. All right.
Okay, guys, don't get too excited. Lost my headphone. Anyway, so like, you can kind of see. So
he's got a wolf on his right pec there. I see that. And then on the left,
out of my skin.
On the left, he's got a dragon.
So this, and like here it says, let go, let God. That's something I say pretty regularly. Like when life hits the fan and like literally we realize we can control very minimal in our life, but there is a sense of just like release and just like comfort when you like, you know what, I'm going to let God take care of that. And 9 times out of 10, he either does or he gives you a pathway to. But people just like kind of let go of like controlling. We can barely control. Like the only thing I realize we can control is our thoughts, honestly. Sometimes we can't control our body. We'll get a weird spasm. We have a pain we don't know. But it's very like, I guess, stoic or whatever. But it's just like, it's easier if you start to realize, like, let go, control what you can, sit with your thoughts. I've talked about it a lot. But anyway, so it says, let go, let God. So this dragon is to represent like all the hells in life, all the pain, all the trauma, all the shit, you know? But like, and like, so, but like, I know that like, even if it feels like you're intertwined and wrapped around it, like I can get through anything as long as I have my faith And through faith, I can always find peace, which is like the ocean waves. And like, cause I love ocean, nature, surfing, that kind of stuff. And some of the things that help me, again, outside of God, I got a kettlebell. So just the fitness things, there's other things in there too. And then this, like they said, the wolf and the leopard, and the one on my leg that I'm getting started. This is kind of a representation of my book.
Wow.
So there's a
This is on
spider
his
monkey
left
there
leg.
because somebody told me, I've been told so many times I move like a spider monkey. And that's a Japanese tiger. And you can't really see in it, but I had my artist put little imperfections in the monkey and the tiger to represent that we're all imperfect. We're all broken. So there's like breaks and cracks in each of them. We're all broken. We're all have imperfections, but we can also be masterpieces even in our imperfections.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the representation of that. And so it's just like we're all in our own story. We're all telling our own story. And I'll probably put a quote here from my book, but like it's not finished yet, but there's also mountains there too, but there's going to be like storms rolling in and sunshine. Back to what we talked about here. Like even through the storms, we can still enjoy life. In fact, I joked around with one of my friends who's like a publicist, and I was like, man, I like if I read another book, you know, I was like, I just need to tell people like even through the shit storms, we can still enjoy life. She's like, that should be the title of your next book. So maybe because like I like that's it. Like life is not easy. It never will be. But it doesn't mean it can't be enjoyed. And I get that I got that message from the Bible. I can't really take credit from it. Like, that's what the Bible talks about over and over again. Like all through all this crap, they were still enjoying life, and they were able to because they're always searching for something higher and always finding a purpose through helping and serving and others. And like, you know, take Christianity, take organized religion aside, like who can't agree that like helping people is a good thing.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we're running low on time. So
sorry.
No, please.
We could talk for hours with you. I've loved this.
Yeah, but we want to first and foremost thank Justin. He sent us a copy of his book. It's been a great read. We're gonna have a review for it on both our Instagram and hopefully our website within the next week or so. Definitely on the Instagram. That one's a lot easier. Oh, yeah. But for me, I like to really put a lot of thought in, and you'll also find links to his website and his book and the interview when it goes live all on one place. That's the misfitfaction.com and Justin Arnold with an en.com.
Yes. And you want to plug your business too?
Sure. Yeah. Flex MP with 2 X's, flexibility and performance. And that's what we specialize. We work with all kinds of people, but predominantly work with a lot of people that are coming from pain that we all talked about has its physical and mental attributes. And we're just trying to get people to live a better, healthier life. We talk about especially on my YouTube, we just want people to move better and ultimately feel better and ultimately live better, whatever that looks like. And we do everything from nutrition to life coaching to movement. And like, hey, if your goals are to lose weight, we're going to help you move better. And if you move better, and you're eating better, guess what? You're going to end up losing that weight. But we don't put it on that. We put it on why you're doing this in the first place. So,
that's wonderful.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, Justin, thank you so much for taking some time out to chat with us. We definitely want to have you back on the show after we've read the book and really have solid thoughts for you.
And hopefully we'll be, as you sort of hinted at, hopefully we'll be seeing a second book from you maybe sometime in the future.
Yeah, maybe. It was a fun process. I'm definitely open to the idea because as you read my book, I never thought I would write one. No. And here we are now. I'm thinking, if I write one, write a second.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Justin, so much for joining us today.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure, Justin.
Appreciate it.
Take care, man.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Man, he's just a cool dude.
I want to hang out with him for ever.
Like he's just it's funny because obviously we are just an audio podcast for now ? But like he really is like the man's man, like and just such a well-rounded guy, somebody who came from such a terrible trauma to really build something so incredible.
I really admire his lifestyle and his choices and his balance, especially. I think more than anything that he is able to balance his family and his business and his faith and everything. He's definitely a model for many of us. So I love that.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you do check out his website, justinarnold.com. Check out his book, Purpose Through Pain. I know Rob was looking on Amazon, had it while we're recording.
I wanted to make sure that everyone can get it on Amazon, and they definitely can. I know you can also download a sample from his book if you want to get a taste from it through Amazon. It'll give you like the first, I think it was like the first 15 or 20 pages or so.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
So that's going to wrap us up for today. As always, I'm Paul.
And I'm Rob.
And we'll be back next time.